You're listening to the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. Now here's your hosts, Kevin, Derek, and Alex.
Alrighty, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. I am Derek, and joined as always by your co-hosts Kevin and Alex. Gentlemen, how we doing?
Doing good. I am happy to have survived the home league matchup this week. I played the worst team in our league, and he gave me the game of his life this week.
Yes, he did.
Did you really?
And yeah, Brad gave me. He was the number 2 scorer.
Right?
Oh, dang.
Yeah, so I scraped by in that one, so I was happy. I was happy about that. Some other leagues not so happy about, but I was happy about that one. But no, I was happy to see that. Some pretty good football on this weekend. Broncos got a big win against the Falcons. That was exciting to see. The Steelers Ravens game was as good as advertised, really. I mean, say what you will about the missed field goals and Lamar being 1-6 or whatever he is against the Steelers. But that was a good game. The Seahawks Niners game was a good game. Like, Derek, I feel like we nailed the games to watch when we were talking about that on our Friday show. Like, every single game we thought was going to be a game to watch truly was. Chiefs Bills, some good football on this week, and really some close games that we didn't know that necessarily were going to be good games. The Colts Jets game was actually a pretty decent football game. It was just not highly televised unless you were in those areas. So, overall, good football viewing weekend. The Cowboys looked like they had a little bit of fight against the Texans there in the first half, and then just kind of got outmatched. But did you guys watch any of that game by chance?
Yeah.
All right. Did you feel like those two teams were going at each other with a special kind of hate?
A little bit.
Like the first half of that game, they were going at a speed and they were hitting with enough pad pop, right? That it almost sounded, again, you take the commentating out and them talking about Dallas and Houston, it sounded like a Ravens Steelers game almost in the first half. Like those guys were absolutely wailing each other and they were flying around the field to start the game. So I don't know what got said or who made a pass at someone's girlfriend or what, but those two teams in the first half were going for blood.
I think
it was crazy to watch that. I was like, these two teams look so much faster than what I feel like they've looked any other game this season. And they would just happen to be doing it against each other at the exact same time. It was crazy to watch to me.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of teams. First off, it's an in-state thing, right? It's a Texas thing. But there's also Houston is in a unique position that they're not typically in. Dallas is in a unique position that they haven't been in the last 3-4 years, right? And I think that there's a chance where Houston was able to put the hammer down on Dallas, which is not something that they get to do very often. And Dallas was trying to make sure that wasn't going to happen. So it was a good game. I enjoyed it. It got out of control.
It did. I was so disappointed that first play of the game that there's an illegal lineman downfield. Nico was shot out of a freaking cannon on that wide receiver screen. What a brilliant play call to start a game, to get him an early touch.
Yeah.
And he just shot off like a freaking rocket. But they had their left tackle leaked out too far. He was 2 yards too far down the field before he came back in to block for Nico. It was a shame. But great play call to start the game, knowing everybody was going to be amped up.
Explosive plays too, right? Like we still saw a Joe Mixon long touchdown run. We still saw that long touchdown from Dallas. So that kid was blazing.
Turpin? Yeah.
Thank you. I couldn't call his name, but holy crap.
So
he caught that, and there was 4 Texans around him, and then in the blink of an eye, there was nobody around him.
I don't know if you guys caught on the telecast, but they said that was the fastest a top speed had reached in the NFL this season.
Oh, I believe that. Man, he was
not
gone.
Tyreek, not Zay Flowers, not Kyron Williams, who's fast in his own regard, not
Xavier
Yeah,
Worthy.
we've seen Debo or DK Metcalf get up to that kind of top end speed, something like that. None of them. It was Turpin, and he did, Alex. He just looked like he had a rocket booster up his ass, and he just shot.
I thought when he caught it, I was like, "Oh, that's a nice completion for Cooper Rush. What? That's good. Good to get them going." And I was like, "He's gone. Holy crap!"
Right.
Look back and said bye-bye.
Yeah.
He did. And the Cowboys needed it that time, right? Like,
Oh,
it was almost going to get really ugly really quick, and that touchdown really kind of kept Dallas in it for the rest of the first half.
That was after the faked punt. That was bad. The field
Stupid.
goal or whatever happened with Houston. Like, it was if they didn't get something there, it was all she wrote, and they got something there. Back to the home league. What a frustrating week for me. What an absolute frustrating week. I lost by 20 points.
You had
And
to
I
sit on
had
your bench.
2 zeros in my starting lineup. Mike Gesicki held to a 0. And then I had an IDP player who was active and then didn't record anything and is now injured. And yes, you said it, Kevin. I had the Texans defense sitting on my bench, and they pitched a pretty darn good game that would have gotten me up and over that. And now, and I said this last week, I needed to win out. I think last week I needed to win out in order to get into this tournament. I might still have an outside chance to get into this tournament, but it is not looking great. Like, I need everything, and I've got buys that I'm going to have to contend with. And this has just been one of those frustrating years where things have just not gone correctly.
Yeah, you also need some people ahead of you to.
I need some help.
You need to win out and a lot of help from other fronts.
This week was so frustrating.
I feel you on the frustrating side of it, and the sad thing is I didn't really have a horrible performance from my roster. Certainly could have been better, right? Like some things that you would have hoped would have gone for, gone a little bit differently. But no, the thing that got me was the fact that I went up against, when you look at the matchups there, and you're like, oh, I'm facing a team that's got Jonnu Smith as the tight end. He's got a Jerry Jeudy in there. You got JSN with DK coming back. Okay, like feel pretty good about this matchup.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. Oh, and throw Bo Nix into the mix as well there, right? Like,
and a Najee Harris in a league where you get credit for touches.
right. And Najee with his 22 opportunities on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that his highest point total this season so far? No, he did week 8.
Najee in our league, the volume league, Najee's had a pretty good year.
Like, bad. Yeah.
I'm bittersweet the fact that I traded him away because I really felt like I needed to at the time, and now I'm looking back and going, like maybe I didn't need to do that as much as I thought I needed. But it's all good. It's worked out.
Right. So, but yeah, that's all right. We're on to next week, right? And so it'll be interesting to see if Alex pulls himself back into contention there a little bit, or if you are.
I think the season is shot. I think we are probably done here. But
keep in mind
some hope.
Keep in mind if you win and the two guys ahead of you lose, you jump both of them based off the points.
All I'm hoping for, right, and I have had big point weeks. My points for is not the issue here. All I'm hoping for is if I can get in that 8 spot, as we've talked about on this show before. That 8 spot is not a death wish in the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football League. In fact,
yes,
it's a little bit of a crown jewel.
Right. So, although in recent years the 8 seed has not fared as well against that 1 seed, but historically, that 8 seed had almost a 50% win rate in that first round. So anyway,
Well, I think so. Here's what we know, right, Alex? So Craig is sitting in the 7th spot. He's going up against the current number 1 ranked team, Andy.
Mm-hmm.
And Andy's projected at the moment, right, to kind of beat him handily. Craig's got to move a couple things around.
Yeah,
He's got a lot of buys.
He's
got a
roster
lot of
spots.
empty roster spots. But Andy's done just enough, right? He's the number 2 team in points for. So he's doing all right. And really it's his start sit accuracy at 94%. That is
very good.
Propelling him, right? So he's just doing what he needs to do. Derek, you and Tommy play each other, so there's your 5-6 matchup. So one of the 2 teams is going to be 500 after this week.
Yeah, and that's all fine and dandy, except for I'm not sure if you're looking who's sitting across the way from me on my schedule.
Hey, you got to get by Kevin.
I got bye weeks. I'm down my time. Yeah, you'll be all right.
I love your optimism for me.
I don't know. I'm not thrilled having to start Zach Charbonnet in my running back spot this week.
I gotta figure out if Mike Evans comes back. I think that's a big thing that a big question mark for a lot of people, right? Not just me.
Who are you playing him over? Debo?
Probably.
Okay, fair.
Certainly not Amon-Ra St. Brown, who was awesome last week. Holy cow. Amon-Ra St. Brown had a coming out party last week. That was great.
Yes.
Yeah, I got Neighbors back, right? But man, what Neighbors am I going to get with Tommy DeVito slinging the ball around there up in New York?
Probably just as much as what you got with Daniel
I bet you
Jones.
get force-fed targets. I bet Neighbors gets force-fed targets.
I hope so. Man, do I hope so.
I think you got a good shot against me this week, dude. I really do.
I got to figure out my tight end situation and my IDPs. And I tell you what, if Fant's coming back for you. If it was put to a vote, I would be in favor of getting rid of IDPs. They have been my just absolute Achilles heel this year. And they should help, but man, have they not.
See, I would be more inclined to get rid of the defense in this nonsense about, a 90-point score or a -2 score and having the range be very consistently that big in that position every single week.
I take some ownership on it being that crazy.
Yeah, so I would actually
thinking 3 and outs and 4th down stops, right? Like it's those points that if you get a team that's just pumping out 3 and outs, you rack up points on defense.
Quick.
Right. Like there's some of those that they'll give up. I saw one of these. It was such an outlier that I was still amazed at it. That the team gave up like 40 points as a defense special teams, and that should have absolutely shot them and been the end of it, losing negative points, all of that kind of stuff, right? Because it was a horrendous performance. But they somehow had managed to have just enough 4th down stops and 3 and out stops on that they managed to put up like 30 points. And you're like, this is silly. And they outscored a team that held the opposing team to like 20 points. And I'm like, so I'd be more inclined to go the other route. Get rid of the defense special teams nonsense and add in another IDP in that front.
No, God, no more IDPs. I'm going to campaign hard this offseason for no more IDPs, and it'll go as successfully as my win against the median went.
Probably.
I still think that screwed a lot of people over. At the end of the season, I want to go through and check
the win against the median,
see how different it would have looked.
It screwed me over several times. Because look at
I think there's some teams, the rankings would look a hell of a lot different.
Yeah.
Right.
Would heck of a lot different.
It would also look very different too if there weren't divisions in there as well, right? Because you get to play your.
What is this? The Big Ten? Get out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
Divisions.
No, I'm saying get rid of it, and we'll actually have everybody play each other a fair bit more than you get to play the teams in your division twice in the season. at some of these divisions.
Man, when it first started, I was in Murderer's Row with you two.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I got moved to the other one. So
I know that was a rough introduction into this league. Hey, welcome to. I could see why the team was vacant.
Well,
We can look at that. I'm
Also,
not tied to the divisions. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just. I mean, screw it. I'm fine with it.
it was a carryover from the original platform. Also, happy F1 in Las Vegas week to all those who celebrate. You can stay up late and watch some racing. Hopefully, who knows? Unless there's a drain cover that decides to destroy one of the cars.
Yeah, I bet they get it welded this time.
I'm guessing that they won't have that happen, but you never know. It is really, really cool to see. And for anybody who's ever been to Vegas, to see them go that fast on that road, it blows your mind.
Yeah. So, well, any other anything else we want to hit up before we start jumping into some questions?
Now let's give the people what they want, right?
No,
Alrighty. Let's head on into the questions, comments, chat, all that. And again, guys, if you have questions, comments, chat, throw them in there. Let's talk about those and let's get that rocking and rolling. Help everybody get set here going into week 12. I know a lot of folks have week 12 trade deadlines coming up. You got the kind of that last 3 weeks for the playoff push and to get your roster set for the playoff run and make that run at the cash and trophy. So let's get her done. Mr. Wumbo over on YouTube saying they've got Josh Allen, Jamar Chase, Bijan Robinson on bye, so not expecting to win. But who should I start this week for RB? They have Hunt, Pacheco, Warren, Cam Akers.
So, what you need to do, because we don't have final confirmation, is you need to keep an eye on the Chiefs injury report. And if Pacheco is cleared and is going to play, you play Pacheco. If he's not cleared, then you play Hunt for one more week, and then you play Jaylen Warren also. So I would not play both the Chiefs at once, and I would not punt on the Chiefs running back room either. So it's just a matter of if Pacheco's healthy and he's in line to start, you play Pacheco, and you play him confidently with Jaylen Warren. And if they're going to hold him out one more week because they want to, continue to test it and maybe just get him back in football shape, then you're going to play Hunt for one final week and then play Warren.
Okay.
But that's how I would handle that this week. But yeah, that's tough, right? Having basically your top 3 guys all on a bye. Yeah, it's going to be a stretch. It's going to be a battle, but I think that should put you in position to at least compete.
It's also tempting to play both of these Chiefs guys because they are playing Carolina, right? And if there's ever a week where you think that the Chiefs are going to eat, it's against the Panthers. But I don't think it is wise. And clearly it's Tuesday. We don't know what, the rest of the week looks like when it comes to Pacheco's health and what it looks like he's doing in practice. So I think you're right, Kevin. I think the safe thing is Hunt, unless Pacheco is active. And even then, man, I don't know how much they're going to want to use him against Carolina. Maybe get him a couple touches just to get him back into game shape and then see Kareem Hunt kind of do most of the heavy lifting as they try to run that clock out. But I think you start one of those Kansas City running backs and then Warren's your other one.
Yeah. Pacheco's a guy that, if he's healthy and he's going, he's going to be the first and second down back and goal line back. That's where I see him and his role in this offense moving forward. Hunt, I see him in there on third down work and is spell back type of thing, right? And I think that we're going to see them try and bring that to light sooner than later and really kind of get that solidified over the next few weeks on how they want to do this thing as they try and make a run for a three-peat. So
I also think, Mr. Wumbo, you're right to just set the expectations a little lower this week. With those 3 dudes on bye, just maybe maybe hang the Christmas lights up or something. I don't know.
Any other thoughts on this one?
No, sir.
All righty. Mr. Wumbos saying someone drop Trey Benson on the bye, pick him up and start him. No.
Yeah,
No.
Trey Benson's averaging like 4 points a game when he actually gets in there.
I like Hunt, Pacheco, and Warren all more than Trey Benson this week.
Correct. Yes. Terrence over on YouTube, flex Warren or Keenan Allen this week.
Warren. Weather's supposed to be really crappy on Thursday night for this Steelers Browns game. So I'm loving the ground attack. Yes, it's going to be a lot of touches for Najee, but Warren's getting more and more involved as he's been healthy and back in the lineup here. And I think you're going to see a lot of short passes when the Steelers do decide to pass. I don't think you're going to see a whole lot being trying to force it down the field. So lots of checkoffs. I'll take the PPR aspect for Warren. Keenan Allen, the Bears, while it looked a little bit better against the Packers, a lot of that came on the ground. DeAndre Swift did some damage. It wasn't necessarily through the air. So as crazy as that sounds, I'm starting Jaylen Warren this week over Keenan Allen.
Yeah, I would concur with that. Any other thoughts here?
No.
Terrence expecting Ferguson to be out. Theo Johnson, Komet, Noah Gray, or Schoonmaker. A good streamer this week if you can't pick up Jonnu Smith.
Go for Jonnu. Go hard for Jonnu. And then Komet. I don't love.
Man, that's tough.
Theo Johnson's tough because, again, what are we going to get out of the quarterback spot there in New York, right? Like, what is the Giants quarterback? What is Tommy DeVito going to look like? Will Theo Johnson be his first read? And yes, we have film, if you will, some tape on what Tommy DeVito is, but like, it's been a year. Like, how long has it been since we've seen this cat? A year and a half? 2 years?
We saw him last year.
Did we see him last year?
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot can change. I think you go hard after Jonnu Smith, and then I think Komet is my next target.
That's how I've got it.
Would grudgingly co-sign. Yeah. Like, I would much rather tell you to play Noah Gray, because at least with the Chiefs offense, you know you'll see some consistency. And Noah Gray has been vulturing touchdowns this year.
And it's Carolina, so how much?
I know, but this
this
Carolina game is like just written for Travis Kelce to have a big first half. Like, okay, I'm going to go out and I'm going to have 6 catches, 2 touchdowns for 55 yards, and now I'm going to sit. Like, and then you don't have to. That scares me because of Carolina. It's almost, the script is almost too easy for Kelce to get his, and they're just going to make him right.
Yeah,
as they start to, as Derek said, right, really tune things up here and get ready for the home stretch. They got their loss. That monkey's off their back. Go back to the film room, get better. I think you're right, though. I think Jonnu and then Cole Komet, and cross your fingers.
That's the most important part of that. Cross the fingers. All righty. JTube over on YouTube. Got a big question. My team is May, Bijan, Achane, Bucky, Dwaddle, Brooks, Pickens, Puka, Debo, Marvin Harrison Jr., Reed, Worthy, Bowers, McBride. I want to upgrade QB and flex. Any trade targets? One owner has both Allen and Burrow.
Man, Drake May is like the worst part of this.
Right?
Good flex here by just showing off your roster.
See if you can flip like Marvin Harrison Jr. And
maybe Worthy,
Trey McBride.
Oh,
you got Bowers. Like,
yeah.
I mean, either tight end, right? J2. Like, it's really either tight end. It's whoever you feel more comfortable with. At this point, I'm leaning Bowers. Like, he's just doing amazing things. for just tight ends, period, let alone rookie tight ends. So both see a high number of targets. They see a lot of volume. They're very involved in their offenses. See if you can. I mean, if you want to keep one Cardinal, then Marvin Harrison Jr. and Bowers, something like that. I mean, maybe Reed and McBride, right? Split up that Cardinals offense just a little bit, and then see what you can do to part with Allen or Burrow, right? And a lot of it's dealer's choice, right? You just reach out, hey, like, I'm interested in one of, like, is there a guy that you'd be more willing to part with?
I'm going to tell you though,
kind of see what he goes. It's going to cost you either way.
This deal's not going to be good this week because both Allen and Burrow are on bye.
Well,
it's true. Another guy that I would look at, and I'd go out there and see if I could try and get a Kyler Murray. Season strength of schedule gets pretty sweet the rest of the way through. And you could certainly look at doing a stack on that one there as well. But that would be another guy that could be a potential target there.
I'll tell you, and I don't know that you'd have to pay. You maybe have to pay a little bit too much after last week, but I'm just checking here. I don't mind kicking the tires on a Bo Nix.
Right. That's another one
that you can get for probably not as much as you would have to give up for a Kyler or Josh Allen or Burrow.
Mm-hmm.
Is kicking the tires on Bo Nix because he's proven that he can do it. And over the next 3 weeks, Raiders, Browns, Colts, Chargers, Bengals, and Chiefs to end. But like, you're looking at pretty easy games for him to put up some decent points over the next 3-4 weeks.
I'd agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Justin Herbert might be another one that you could look at. Right, he's kind of gone under the fantasy radar here this season, and has been playing better as the season goes on. I guess with that, I would stay away from Jaden Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
his ribs don't look right. We talked about this on the show last week a little bit. Maybe it's our Friday night show, Derek.
It was
talking about it, where he still doesn't look like he's truly extending and twisting with his throws. Like, it's just kind of straight arm right now. He's short throwing a lot of things. So I would stay away from Daniels.
The legs aren't as effective either.
Yeah, but I think Alex has a good point. Like, you could look at Bo Nix, Justin Herbert, maybe even a Baker, right?
Yeah.
See if you can sneak it with Mike Evans coming back here a little bit, and maybe it's a little bit less than an Allen or a Burrow. And then you might be able to do some type of package, right, to see if you can get a quarterback and the flex piece that you're looking for right now. So I think there's some options. Like, you definitely have depth in the right places to be able to play around with things and see what teams will be willing to do. Excuse me.
Right. And then actually what was amazing to me is when we were starting to float the ideas, 6 weeks to a month ago, that, hey, like, Bo Nix is a guy that you should be picking up on your waiver wires. Some of the comments that we got on that one, that we were out of our minds, just kind of looking back on that and made me giggle earlier today. So anyway, I digress. Let's go ahead and hit up this next one. J2 also say one other team has Connor and Lamb. I feel like I could get one of them from him. Who should I give for one and for Allen or Burrow? So kind of the same question as that.
I'd rather have Connor.
Right.
Yeah, I wouldn't rather have Lamb right now.
No, I'm not making a run at that. That's all name power that you're going after there. So
yeah, Connor's been playing well. So I like so his next comment, Derek, if you'll pop that up. I like how you understand who you want to move, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it might take some combination of, but the fact that you've identified guys that you can kind of package up and do some different things with, right? Bucky and McBride, that might be enough to get you a James Conner.
Yeah.
Right. He stays kind of whole at running back. It's an upgrade at tight end for him. That might be enough to do James Conner. Maybe not quite. So he might come back and do something. But then, on the flip side, Debo, Harrison Jr., Reed. So you're looking for a team that is wide receiver needy, right? You want to look for a team that's been, that got hammered with Chris Olave or Chris Godwin or Christian Kirk. A lot of Chris's getting hurt this year. Christian McCaffrey was hurt all year long. There was something about the
Wouldn't he
Chris
ever?
name, right? So, Brandon Ayuk, another guy, right? So you're looking for teams that maybe had two of these guys on their roster who are really hurting a wide receiver and trying to flip that around here a little bit.
You do have decent pieces here. Like that was
Yeah.
initially when we were reading your roster out there. That's good. That's good stuff. Like, well done.
Yeah.
Just unfortunate that the quarterback position kind of let you down there.
Yeah, but you've got enough pieces you can make some moves on that.
Absolutely.
I think we've kind of outlined that pretty well there. J2, if you have any other questions, throw them in the chat and we can hit those back up there. Any other thoughts on this one?
No.
All right. Carter over on YouTube, start the Chiefs defense or the Broncos defense?
Chiefs. Both of them are on the road, although
It's
technically
Denver. It's Denver for me, and it's not close.
It's Chiefs for me, and it's not close. They're playing the Panthers.
Denver's playing Las Vegas, and Las Vegas is a mess.
I know, but Las Vegas.
What is Carolina?
Fits.
What is
Carolina's
I worry about the Denver Raiders game because the Raiders
it is
the Raiders
a rivalry, right?
Just give the Broncos hell, right? Like they finally got over that hump earlier this year, and it took a Patrick Surtain pick 6 to really turn that thing around because at the beginning of the game, Brock Bowers and who's quarterback for them at the moment? Minshew, I think, was quarterbacking for them at the start of that game. We're giving the Broncos fits until that Surtain pick 6. I'm leaning Chiefs coming off of a loss to the Bills, kind of snapping back to reality here a little bit. The Chiefs know that they're going to have to stop the run. I'm not too worried about their passing game, and that's really where the Chiefs' weakness is on that defensive side of the ball. So I'm taking KC this week, not by much, but I am taking.
Fair enough. So split decision, but the consensus is for the Chiefs on that one. All righty.
I don't think you go wrong with either one, but I'd rather take the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, you're probably talking 2 top 5 defenses this week in fantasy points. So I think you're right. I think you have a hard time going wrong either way. But yeah. Matt over on YouTube, should I trade Lamb and Brooks / Irving to try and get one of Justin Jefferson, Bijan, Nico, or Kyron? For context, they also have Hall, Kamara, London, and AJ Brown.
If you can find a dance partner, I do that all day and twice on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I was telling Derek last week that I was entertaining a few trade offers from a few people, and CeeDee Lamb's name kept coming up with one of the guys that I was entertaining a trade offer for, and I straight up told him, like, no, like I'm not gonna. What do I have to look forward with CeeDee Lamb the rest of the season? Like it was right after we knew that Dak wasn't gonna play. I guess this was 2 weeks ago. We knew that Dak was done for the season. Like, man, the door is closing on CeeDee Lamb value, and it's closing quickly if it's not already shut.
I think that one's already, that ship has sailed at this point for this season. So the only way that it necessarily makes sense to try and get CD is if it's in a keeper or dynasty type of format.
I'd do it for Bucky Irving straight up. And that's
enough.
a low ball. That's a low ball. And I understand it's a low ball, but that's how out I am on CeeDee Lamb. You are getting flex to wide receiver 2 appeal out of CeeDee Lamb right now. I don't care what the talent level is. This is the reality of the situation. So for CeeDee Lamb, I would offer someone Bucky Irving because you're getting basically the exact same thing.
Fair enough. All righty. But yeah, if you can
I
find
I don't know that anybody who's got Justin Jefferson, Bijan, or Nico is going to take a CeeDee Lamb and Brooks. I don't know that there's a package that includes CeeDee Lamb that doesn't include Alvin Kamara.
I mean, maybe if they're
Kyron's had
dealing with
tough couple weeks. Like you might be able to do it for Kyron.
He's trying to get. You might be able to get it for Kyron.
But if
that's the one that I think is the most realistic.
Right. If the other manager you're dealing with is, had a roster construction with Chris Olave and Debo and Rashee Rice, right? Like that was their main roster construction. Like they could be desperate enough that CeeDee Lamb's looking very, very appealing at that point, right? Like I could see where that comes to play because there is still name value there, but I'm right there with you guys that I'm not looking to actively pursue CD, and it may be tough to try and get one of those, but you never know, right? Some people, it's all about the name value, and that's where it comes down to knowing your league and what that looks like.
Matt, I good luck.
Yeah. So yeah, if you can pull off the deal, pull off the deal. Let's go. Any other thoughts on this one?
No.
All right. Carter over on YouTube asking Anthony Richardson or Geno Smith.
Geno.
This week, give me Geno.
I'm not playing Richardson unless I absolutely have to.
Yeah,
like it's great.
And they're going up against Detroit. He's going up against Detroit this week.
Yes.
It's not fun. That's not fun.
No.
Give me Geno against Arizona.
Right. And Anthony, the Detroit is probably like one of those just they're a good defense, but they've gotten like really sneaky good over the last bit there where it's they're tenacious, they're really tough.
Opportunistic.
Yes.
Right. I mean, they've had an interception, I think, in every single game this year. So far, they do still find ways to get after the quarterback. Richardson's lack of accuracy worries the crap out of me.
Yes.
If he doesn't hit the big play or doesn't use his legs to the tune of 50 yards at least and a touchdown, I think you're better off letting Geno cook with his weapons, because I think Seattle's kind of starting to hit a stride, right? Kenneth Walker's been running well all year long. Debo's healthy again, so JSN has emerged as the clear number 2 there in Seattle. Like, I like Geno's weapons a little bit more. I like the offensive cohesion a little bit more, and I like the fact that Arizona does not scare. They'll be competitive, right? Arizona's feisty for sure, but Arizona does not scare me the way Detroit does.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, I would agree. Mr. Wumbo saying that they feel like the Bears set up so many screens to DJ Moore that went for -2 yards that the universe had to correct it by sending Nico 80 yards on that screen.
They did, except it didn't count. There's no record of it in any sort of statistics book because it got called back.
Right. All it goes down as penalty on the offense.
Yeah, right. Like, it was a hell of a play, though.
Absolutely. Polar Knights over on Twitch saying that they love the men's camp. It's the perfect evolution of
Polar. You're not
growth.
the first person to have this observation,
right?
Yeah. Thanks for watching.
All righty.
It's to cover up the fact that at least 2 of the 3 of us have nothing going underneath these hats right now.
All righty. Louis over on YouTube. Full point PPR. I have Kyler. Don't need to have a backup QB anymore, potentially, but I only have 1 tight end, Derek D. Henry. Should I pick up Bo Nix, Herbert, or Taysom Hill since Henry still has his bye week?
Taysom Hill is also on bye.
Yeah.
I think Bo Nix or Herbert.
But he has Kyler, so what's it matter?
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to think. He's looking for, should he do quarterback or tight end, because he only has the 1 tight end.
And I'm believing that might be.
So he's trying to figure out if what he should use the roster spot on.
And I'm believing that that's Hunter Henry for the tight end, not Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
I'd pick up Taysom.
Yeah.
Right. But again, I'd pick up Taysom too. It's just he's on bye this week.
Right, but Henry's not.
And Henry still has his bye. That's
right at week 14.
You pick up Taysom.
Yeah.
Like I don't think you're going to get in a situation where you're going to easily start Bo Nix or Justin Herbert over Kyler Murray. Yes, yes, I would guarantee you 2 out of the remaining 4 weeks, Nix or Herbert will outscore Kyler Murray. Guarantee it. But I can't tell you which 2 weeks it is.
Yeah, it's
and I
gonna be
can't tell you which
frustrating to
one's
figure
going
out
to do
which
it. So
And I'd rather take
ride
the
with the horse you
consistency.
know. Yeah, ride with the horse you know.
Yep.
That's perfectly fine. Pick up Taysom Hill. And now let's, have a sub option already for Hunter Henry. And if Taysom Hill remains as focal in the New Orleans offense, he's a better play than Hunter Henry is.
Yeah.
So you might have your tight end starter for the playoffs at this point in time. So I'm picking up Taysom.
Correct. Any other thoughts on this one?
No, but this next question is perfect. Thank you,
Right.
Brian.
Brian over on YouTube, Taysom Hill, how much fab this week?
I don't know that it's going to be as much as you might think, just because he's on bye, right? I do think that you are going to have to probably pony up to make sure that you get him.
He's on a bye, so
But
half
he's on
your
a bye.
league's not going to acknowledge him.
Right.
Right.
So I do think that helps cheapen it up a little bit. $6.
Yeah. I think if you look at a percentage,
Most tight ends will go
right?
for 2. Yeah,
So
most tight ends go for 2, $6.
Yeah. I think, and if you're like us, what was that auction or that blind auction draft that we did?
Yeah.
where we literally just spent like $1 on everybody and got a really good team. One of my theories with Fabs is go to whatever number you think and add $1.
Yeah, that's a pretty good deal there. But
Because,
I think Kevin's pretty spot on there as far as it being kind of $6. If you really want to make sure that you're kind of rocking and rolling that, I would be probably in about the 10% range of whatever the fab was. Like if you're really feeling like you need to go out there and get that done, I'd be about 10% of the fab. So if it's a $100 fab budget to begin with, it'd be a $10 deal. And I've subscribed to that same method Alec talks about, that add $1 to it just to be a bit in there. So I'd be in that kind of 6 to 11 range. It really is how that would kind of come to be. So, All right. Any other thoughts on this one?
No, but I almost forgot about that blind auction league. That was the perfect example of how to just straight buffalo an entire league of 16 teams.
Mm-hmm.
we did good. That was good. That was a good.
No,
and
the reason was because we were pairing up in threes, right?
Yeah,
so
the reason that it was so good was that because we just went for the kind of the shotgun approach, right? We just throw $1 on all these people, and like some of them, like there was a lot of guys that we got that I think that people were just like, I've got no chance at getting him, so I'm not even going to bid.
Mm-hmm.
And we got him for $1. That
was a fun experiment.
Oh, it was a fun experiment.
Mr. Wumbo saying that Nabber is going to put up some rush plus CD numbers like 15 targets, 9 catches, 60 yards.
Maybe
with the DeVito experience there.
We'll see.
Alrighty.
That's 15
I could use the
points,
15
no
targets. Yeah, I was gonna say I could use the 15 targets.
Yeah. Tony over on YouTube. Starting a new league next year, current format, thinking a half point PPR, full point PPR for tight ends, 3 wide receiver starters, 6-point passing TD. Last playoff spot goes to highest points for bottom 5 teams, 5 via win loss. Any other rule ideas you like playing with?
We play with all sorts of them. Yeah, I mean,
I love a win against the median.
Win against the median, right? If you're doing it on Sleeper, ESPN and Yahoo don't offer that, but Sleeper does. No, I think.
So you've gone.
How many flex spots are you thinking? Right? Like I think that's the one thing that's not in this, right? 1, 2, 3 flex spots. I like the idea of 2, honestly, because I think it helps you balance out your roster. And by going 2 flex spots, you'll definitely have some teams that just absolutely go crazy on wide receiver. But if you go more running back heavy, you have homes for those running backs in that flex spot. So it does allow for a more even keeled drafting approach to kind of spread it out amongst the league. My biggest, I'm not going to say frustration, but I think the biggest thing that you see when you go 3 receiver leagues, most of the time it's just all these running backs just keep getting pushed down. There's a ton of value in it, but by having 2 flex spots, it helps them hold kind of current value. So that way you're not having to reach for, if you're drafting 12th in a single quarterback league, by the time the 3rd round comes around, you are not having to reach for, your second wide receiver just to fill the roster spot with, Deontay Johnson or something like that. You're actually able to build a roster and you can kind of go through it.
Yeah, I like that one. I'm to be honest, I'm not a big fan of the tight end premium. Like I realize that that's kind of all the rage out there, and a lot of folks are trying to do what they can to make the tight end position more appealing out there. But yeah, very unpopular opinion. I understand that. I'm just not a big fan of the tight end premium. Also not a big fan of kind of the tight end position overall, right? Like when it comes to fantasy, for the most part, it's not that far off from a weekly consistency of kickers and point totals up there, and nobody wants to play with kickers anymore. But the tight end is got to have it type of thing. So again, I realize that I'm very much in the minority of that opinion and very unpopular opinion.
Tony, I'd be curious. I think this year I would be all for your concept of last spot goes to the highest points for, because in the home league this year, I think I'd be right there. Like that would put me in the playoffs.
If we dropped it in our home league from 8 teams to 6 teams, I would propose it. But with having 8 out of the 12 make the playoffs,
right?
I generally don't feel like there's much use in it. This year might be the exception to that rule.
Right.
With some things that are going on. But if only 6 are getting in, I get it. But when you get 3/4 of the league into the playoffs, like,
so I'd be curious.
You kind of are what your record says you are.
I guess the thing that would be curious about that is actually if that last team is still the highest score, or if they are the luckiest. We used to, and correct me, I don't think we do it anymore, but it used to be. Oh, never mind. It's a different league, but a different league that I was in. We would pay out for first place and second place, and then the regular season scoring champ. And I think we did do this with this league too. Yeah, the regular season scoring champ got their buy-in back, right? So first place won, a majority of the pool. Runner up won maybe a third of what first place won, and then regular season scoring champ, because in my opinion, all we're trying to do is score points here, right? So you should be rewarded for scoring the most points throughout the course of the regular season.
It's your 2 besties that squawked enough we got rid of it.
They did do that. And yeah, but that was another concept that I thought was good, because you reward scoring points. It's not like I can't play defense against Kevin's team. Like if Kevin's team is going to score 500 points on me in our league, which is not uncommon for Kevin's teams, I can't do anything against that. But I can
draft a better roster.
8 draft picks in the first 4 rounds.
Yes, but you can still, like, I can on a week-to-week basis. It's not like I can go out there and influence your team's scoring. Right?
No, but you can control what you can control on your roster and do that by working the waiver wire, your start to sit decisions, and drafting better.
So if I happen to be the second highest scorer in the league and you go up against the first highest scorer, like, that sucks. And there's nothing you can do about that.
No,
right.
that's true.
I always like rewarding points for. I think points for is an important thing, because that's all you can control in this league.
Yeah, no, I get that. I'm also I can go on either side of the fence on the points for and be in that last playoff spot. Like, I get it. There are times though that I've seen that where the highest points for is a team that's below 500 and like 2 games below 500. They're going into playoffs and they're they're 6-8, and they got in over a team that was 8-6. So, I'm
okay with that.
If you score points, you should be in.
Again, you don't get to play defense. Like you can't. If you are the highest point scorer, you maximize the potential of your roster consistently over the length of a season. You can't control that Justin Jefferson went off for 235 yards and 2 touchdowns. And oh, by the way, the following week you had Jamar Chase go off for 13 grabs for 180 yards and a touchdown. And like, you can't. I get what Alex is saying there, right? Like,
I mean,
it's a bummer of a season.
Let's look right now in the home league.
Here's one. While Alex is looking that up, Tony. One thing I like when you're doing the startup, right, to get people to pay. One interesting thing that I did in a work league this year is I set a time on this day, starting at this time. The order in which I receive payment is the order that you get to choose your own draft spot. And then, obviously, I had my cash with me. I mean, I threw myself at 4th or 5th, like whatever it was, kind of in the middle, right? Like, I'll suck that up being the commissioner or whatever. But I wasn't going to take last when I was the one collecting all the money either. That one was interesting, and I didn't have to shag anybody down for money.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Because you got to pick it. So if the first team wanted to pick 11th for whatever reason, boom, you pencil them in. You're drafting 11th. Like, that was kind of interesting because people got to choose, but it was all based on, how quickly they were. Get me the cash in hand, because being a commissioner, one of the most monotonous, frustrating things to do is having to shake grown men down for money, whether it's $10, $15, $100, whatever it is, to play fantasy football. Like, you said you wanted to play, own up, pay for it, let's move on.
Okay, back to the point, and you know what? I underscore what Kevin just said there. Grow up. You said you wanted to play. Okay, in the home league right now, there are 3 teams that have scored more points than me. I am the 4th highest scoring team in the league. Each of those teams has a winning record. One is you, Kevin. You are the highest scorer in the league. Another is you, Derek, at 6-5. Another is Andy, who is the wins-loss leader. He's the number 1 seed so far. So those are the 3 teams that I am behind in terms of points for. For points against, I am the 3rd highest, if you will. There are only 3 teams that have suffered more points against than me, and they all have losing records, which I also have a losing record.
And I can understand where you're going with that.
Interestingly enough, and I didn't realize
at the same time, though, more than half of your losses came in losses where you didn't reach the 400 mark, which in order to even try and win, be there, you've got to be 400 plus typically. Right? Like, and typically you've got to be closer to 425, 430. And like most of those losses came in weeks where it was well scored below the average or the median there.
Do you see what my points for and my points against are separated by? What my delta is?
Yeah, I've been there before. It sucks to be there.
0.35 difference. I've scored 48-16. I've given up or had points scored against me 48-16, 0.35.
Right.
That's insane. I'm 4-7 and the 10th seed.
So
I'm the 10th seed and I'm the 4th highest scorer.
Yep. Been there. I've got one league right now. I'm actually the highest scorer, and I'm sitting in the 11th spot with a very Like just I get everybody's best shot every week, it seems like. So
It's rough.
I get it. I've been there. It's no fun. All righty. Any other thoughts on this rule idea?
We spent way too much time on your. Good luck, Tony. Good luck being the commissioner.
All right, Silky over on YouTube. Which tight end should I drop? Ingram, Pitts, or Taysom Hill? Kind of in a weird spot because all three of my tight ends are on bye week 12. Between the three, I don't know. What are our thoughts here? That's kind of where I'm at.
I'm done with the boom bust. Ingram's going to have your most consistency. Taysom's probably going to be your highest ceiling. Pitts.
See if you can't flip Pitts. See if you can't flip him.
For bag of potato chips and some unpopped popcorn.
See if you can't flip him.
Right.
Don't.
And if
don't
the popcorn's too much, go with the bag that's already popped.
See if somebody would like to have him.
Yeah. See if you can grab your handcuff to your number one running back.
Yeah. There you go. Mr. Wumbo saying, yeah, that's what he's thinking. Didn't Atlanta's running back supposed to score like 20 points against him? That was back to that Pacheco.
Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Panthers are not very good, he says. All right. Carter, I believe we've already.
Carter, I think we hit those up.
Gino.
Yep. There we go. Mr. Wumbo saying that they didn't watch the Cowboys game, but was scanning the play-by-play and knew it wasn't good because it'd be like Cooper Rush to Schoonmaker or Spanford or Flournoy. And I was like, who?
I had that same reaction checking the Broncos. I wasn't able to watch the Broncos game on Sunday, but checking the Broncos box score, I was like, who is catching this touchdown? I've never heard of this person before. But I was glad they did. Who was it? They scored the first one. What was their name? Nate Adkins.
Everybody knows Nate.
Sure.
All righty. Adam over on YouTube, should I start Hawk or Njoku this week? Hawkinson or Njoku?
I'm starting Hawkinson. I do not want any part of this Cleveland offense against Pittsburgh.
Well,
none.
And Njoku's got injury designation on a short week.
He'll play.
He should play, right? But
I think Njoku's going to play, like 98% sure of that. But just because of the matchups, I do not want any part of Cleveland's offense against Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Interesting thought. Bringing up the Pittsburgh defense there and all of that. Would you rather play Detroit's defense or Pittsburgh's defense this week?
Detroit's, they're more banged up.
Okay. All righty. That makes my start sit decision a little easier there. Appreciate it. All right. Anyway, Joe over on YouTube going against every instinct by starting both Amon-Ra and Jameson Williams this week because of buys. Should I start Addison instead of JMO?
Oh, that's interesting.
It's a good
I
one.
don't think I would. JMO's been highly active in this Detroit offense. Like I wouldn't have any heartache about that.
If you're looking at looking at fantasy rankings too, there is a significant gap between what consensus experts are saying.
Right. Wide receiver
and Chicago's secondary is their strength.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
As bad as Chicago has been, their strength is in their secondary. Like I think Jefferson will find a way to get his just because he's Justin Jefferson, but it's going to take a monster break in coverage or something kind of silly for Jordan Addison to truly get loose. Jameson Williams is going to get just by showing up. Like I just to me, I'm not thinking very hard about this, Joe. I'm starting JMO.
Yeah.
Go Lions. What the hell?
Yeah. And Joe, normally I'm on the opposite side of that where I don't like, trying to monopolize a single wide receiver room for a week and would rather try and mitigate my exposure there. But I'm right there with Kevin on this one. I think I would go both Amon-Ra and JMO this week.
And desperate times call for desperate measures.
There we go. Adam over on YouTube, thoughts on Chase Brown rest of the season?
I like Chase Brown as a top end RB2, low end RB1 rest of the season.
That's kind of where I've got him. I think I've got him kind of
catch some passes. He's going to be involved in the offense. Like I
the best option, right?
Yeah, I mean, Zach Moss is hurt. There hasn't been another running back on the roster to receive a touch since Zach Moss went on IR. Like, let's think about that. Not even a touch. So Chase Brown kind of has the lion's share and then some by that regard. So I know Joe Burrow loves to throw it down the field, but he'll help put up points. They use him in the red zone a little bit too, which is helpful. So yeah, I like Chase Brown. He's a great RB2 option and an even better flex option based off where you drafted him. He's probably your flex option, and that's money in the bank as far as I'm concerned.
Right. A lot of folks picked him up off of waivers even. So yeah, I'm kind of right there with you. 12 to 15 is kind of where I see him rest of the season. Adam over on YouTube. Also, Brees, do you think he's back? Sorry, those are the two starting running backs in a full point PPR.
I like Brees just fine. Again, RB, mid to low end RB1 the rest of the season is kind of how I see Brees. Like, you're going to have some games where he's involved in the passing game a little bit more. And typically when he is, you see those big pop weeks, right? Last week, he got one on the ground and one through the air. So that kind of helped propel him there. So I like Brees. I have him in the home league as my RB1. So obviously finding a sub for him this week is a challenge, but rest of the season, I'm not looking to take him out of the lineup. I got to start him with confidence and just hope that the Jets can stay in games long enough that they continue to use him.
Right. Or if they get down, they keep him going in the passing game.
Mm-hmm.
So, all righty. Alex, any other thoughts on the Brees?
No.
All right. J2, thank you so much. The guy with Connor is in Ohio State, so they're thinking of offering him Marvin Harrison Jr. and Bucky for Connor, and Reed and McBride for Allen. Willing to add Worthy to either deals. What do you think?
I think they're great starting spots.
Good on you for knowing where you can exploit people because of their college fandom.
Yeah, I think the Connor deal should be pretty easy. Like, that's a pretty fair deal, just right off the top. The Allen deal might be interesting, right? Obviously, again, going back to, does he want to get rid of Allen or get rid of Burrow? Like, the two are basically side by side, how I think they're going to be rest of season. So if you're able to get either one of them, I think you'll be pretty happy with it. So it might take a little bit more for Josh Allen, but nevertheless, I think they're well within the conversation, and see where you get.
Yeah, I would agree. Any other thoughts on this one?
No.
Galactic Ghoul over on YouTube. Half point PPR. Should I trade Chubb for Stevenson? I'd rather have the Stevenson side of that trade.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on this one?
I think I agree. As much as that pains me, I think I would rather have the Stevenson side.
He's been getting a pretty decent run out there because quarterback.
Drake May's helped. Yeah, Drake May's helped him this year far more than I think what I was anticipating. So it sounds dirty going off of name value, but based off of what we're getting out of these guys this season, I would agree. Stevenson's the way to go.
Yeah.
Right. And Louis, back to that tight end question. It was Hunter Henry that we were looking at there.
We got you, buddy.
All right. And Jordan over on YouTube saying that tight end is like catchers in fantasy baseball. Unless you have a top 3 or 4 guy, they're sort of irrelevant. This year, and actually for the most part, Jordan, if you don't have the top 1 guy, they're usually about irrelevant. And for the most part, unless that one guy was Travis Kelce, where he outscored the position by an entire other person at the position, was that much of an outlier, they don't matter. Yeah,
you just don't want zeros, right? Like, you want a guy who you can kind of count on catching 3 or 4 balls and might fall into the end zone. Like, that's really what you're after.
Zero really does hurt.
Yes, it does.
Experience this week.
I bet it does.
Mike Gesicki.
I had one of those earlier this year with Kyle Pitt.
So dang frustrating.
Glad you dropped Evan Ingram so I could pick him up and start him.
No, I got so frustrated with him too.
Yeah,
that one I was a little quick. I think I was a little quick on that one. I was very frustrated with him.
Drunk when you did it. I didn't care. I was sure glad to see him on the waiver wire. I was like, yeah,
I was a little upset with him.
All right, Mr. Wumbo said, I know it's like choosing between eating dog poo and cat poo, but if you don't win the waiver to pick up Drake May to fill in for QB bye, who would you start? Levis, Rush, DeVito, Minshew, or Bryce Young?
Not Minshew.
Ding gal.
Maybe
Um,
Rush. I don't know how long of a leash Rush has, though.
Hey, starting this week.
I know he's starting.
Who else you got? Who else you got in Dallas? Right, like that's
Trey Lance if they go for it, but yeah.
I'm taking Will Levis.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Give me the guy who will use
Houston.
his legs just a little bit. He has the most he's been able to move the ball here recently a little bit for Tennessee. It's definitely all these guys are big time boom bust. But Will Levis, maybe Tommy DeVito, only in Tampa Bay's secondary has been a little banged up and there's some gaps there. We'll see what they learn through their bye week. But realistically, all three of these teams should be trailing, so all of them should be throwing the ball here in the second half to help.
Do you know the funny thing?
4 of them.
Levis, DeVito, Minshew, Rush, Young, and I'll throw Trey Lance in. That is 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, and 27 for the experts' consensus rankings. So Levis is the best of that situation. Yeah.
The best of the rest.
It's the best of that situation.
There you go. All righty.
Oh, God.
Mr. Wumbo saying, like I said earlier, not expecting to win with the top 3 scores being on bye. So if they put up a stinker, whatever, they're just looking to get someone that might put up 3 points or possibly 30 if they go nuts.
Like I said, Mr. Wumbo, just enjoy your weekend away from football this weekend. Like, just enjoy it.
DeVito has the easiest matchup. Levis with his legs probably gives you the best baseline.
I will tell you though, Gardner is not it. Gardner is not the play this week. Not against Denver. Not against Denver's secondary.
No.
Drake May, here we come. Let's go.
Take your pick on anybody else.
Drake May. We're hoping you get May, Mr. Wumbo.
Yeah.
We're hoping you get Drake May.
Yeah.
All right, and then Bang over on Twitch saying, "Hey boys, just I got a huge question about their team. Just need targets to trade for. They got Purdy, Bijan, Kamara, AJ Brown, Mike Evans, DK McBride, the Vikings D. The bench is Juwan, Cook, Taysom Hill, Bucky. Need some really good trade targets, and was thinking of Kyron, but not sure. And it is a PPR.
I think you got through the worst of it.
Right.
I mean, Bijan's on a bye, so yeah. I mean, you'd like to.
Kamara's also on a bye.
So's Cook. So he needs a running back. That's why he's doing
it.
He's starting Bucky and whatever else he can get.
Right.
He needs a running back. So Kyron. So who can he flip for Kyron?
Oh, man.
Who do you want to flip for Kyron? I don't know that there's anybody that I'd want to flip.
I wouldn't mind flipping James Cook. And I'd see if you could flip James Cook and
Am I crazy in thinking that this is an unusually high number of teams on a bye for one given week? There's 6 teams on a bye.
Yeah, this is the bye-mageddon type.
Yeah, this is an unusually high, is it not? I don't remember there ever being.
That's because then they have it typically every year because next week there's not any buys because it's
Thanksgiving week,
the holiday weekend, and everybody's got to play.
And then there's 6 on bye the following week in week 14. Holy cow!
Right.
Goodness gracious.
So this one, I mean, I wouldn't mind trying to package like a James Cook, and I don't know that Juwan Jennings gets that conversation started, even with as well as Juwan Jennings has played. But you may have to step up into potentially like a Mike Evans there to try and make a deal like that happen.
Ugh.
So what? Okay. Let's take a step back here. Does he need a Kyron? Or does he just need someone for this week?
I think you're probably right. I think it's more of a just need somebody to get through this week because you're playing
Then
Bucky and for your running back, right? And
I don't know.
Try to go
Like,
get a Javonte Williams or something if he's
well,
on.
I don't know that I'm thinking as low as Javonte, but I'm thinking like J.K. Dobbins, Brian Robertson Jr., Aaron Jones. Like, if you want to go less name appeal,
Are you looking at?
Tyrone Tracy's kind of interesting for a
Yeah.
guy who's probably not going to cost a whole lot for a 1 week guy.
Are you
See-
looking at trade or are you looking at?
I'm just
Yeah,
trying to
wait.
think
You'd
of
have
guys
to
that you
probably
can
trade.
target and you're
Yeah.
not giving up, right? Like,
I mean, James Cook for James Conner, straight up. See what you can do on something like that. I wouldn't mind that deal.
yeah.
James Cook, Chase Brown, something like that. Like you could potentially try and do something in that realm.
Like, I get bench Cook, Taysom Hill, Bucky. Like, you guys have short benches
Mm-hmm.
for sure. So, I mean, I'm surprised there's not anyone on the waiver with the benches only being four deep.
Right.
I mean, Jawan and James Cook for Kenneth Walker?
That might be able to get the job done.
Yeah. I'd entertain that as a Kenneth Walker owner.
I mean, it's just a thought. I mean, James Cook for Chase Brown straight. Oh, he's on a bye too. Never mind. That doesn't do you any damn good.
Right.
Like,
Should I even try to do James Cook for David Monty? See if you could do that deal straight up.
yeah, that's not bad.
So I think there's a couple of moves that you can make in there. The James Cook for either James Conner, David Montgomery. See if you could package Cook and Jennings to see if you could go after Kenneth Walker. So I think there's some pretty good options there for you. But I don't know that I'm looking to break up the kind of the nucleus of this to make too many moves from what you've got here. Especially with Evans coming back. I mean, maybe if you wanted to go out and get a wide receiver one that was a little bit more, saw a little bit more volume consistently than AJ Brown does. Like I could see that move there, but yeah, I don't know that I want to necessarily break up the nucleus of this team to try and you just make some moves. Any other thoughts on this one?
It's again, it's by Mageddon, man. This week and then week 14 are going to be just
That'll be a little rough for sure.
Grin and bear.
Yeah, I think you're gonna need like Kamara and Jawan if you want Kyron. Like if Kyron's your guy, okay, let's just say Kyron is your guy, and that's the guy you target. Kamara and Jennings starts the conversation. Maybe the guy tight end, right? So maybe it's Kamara and Taysom. You're playing off of Taysom's monster week, and you just keep the consistency of McBride with this roster that you have.
Tough sell to get two guys on the same team, though. Hope he's a Saints fan. But yeah,
that part is for sure. Like, I mean, so you start with Cook. You're willing to elevate to Kamara, so you keep Bijan. It's possible you can get Kyron out of this.
Right.
But yeah, I'd be thinking that range. I mean, you want to look Kamara and Juwan, James Cook and Juwan, and you're looking for David Montgomery. You know, Josh Jacobs honestly isn't a bad one. Like you could look at James Cook for Josh Jacobs straight up. See what that does. Like that's not too terrible. Name value, they might think that they're getting a better deal with Cook. Jacobs actually has an easier strength of schedule rest of season. Not by much, but by a little bit. Like, you can gain a little bit there just for going 1 for 1.
Yeah, I like it. Alrighty.
Before we get to the next one, I will have to bow out here. I have to get up a little early tomorrow, so I will be calling it a night. But don't worry, Kevin and Derek are gonna stay with you guys, so they'll answer the rest of your questions here. But I'm gonna have to take off. So see you guys.
Alex's JOB calls.
Yes, the thing that allegedly pays me money. Is gonna.
I'll let you take that up with them.
All right, guys, take care.
All right, see you, dude.
All right, later, brother. Alrighty. Kevin, any other thoughts on this trade? Target?
No, I think we tossed a couple running back options out here, right? It's in play. It's possible. Got to find the right dance partner.
All right, I like it. Top over on Twitch. Want to rate my team from week 1 to now? If you want to throw it out there, we can take a look at it. Top also saying over to the Bang on Twitch. Try to get Taysom Hill high. Try to get trade on Taysom Hill high and get a better QB. Brock is going to sell your team. I don't know that I necessarily agree with that.
I don't mind Brock.
Yeah, I mean, Brock, Purdy, rest of the season's probably a top 7 QB.
Yeah,
so
I can see that.
Yeah, I don't mind it. So, would there be other options I'd rather go with? Sure. Kyler Murray would be one that I'd rather have on that one. But yeah, just kind of some thoughts there. Any other thoughts on that one?
No.
Quincy over on YouTube. It's an 8-person PPR. Pick up Jennings and start him over over Marvin Harrison Jr. or Debo this week. Also, do I prioritize Taysom Hill on the waivers over Jennings or Ladd? They have Cade Otton. So Taysom is going to be right on buying on a typical waiver.
Otton.
Yeah.
I know you have. I'm starting Otton coming off of a bye.
On Taysom Hill's on bye this week as well. So if you're needing something, you got to roll that way. And I don't mind the Jennings or the Ladd McConkey move there. Both of those guys have had really pretty stellar, kind of a pretty good little stretch at this point that I wouldn't mind making a run at that one. But I think that they are startable over Debo. They could even be startable over Marvin Harrison Jr. Any thoughts on that?
You could start Jennings over Debo. Hey, I think you could start Jennings over either one, as crazy as that sounds. So,
right.
So do you want Jennings or Ladd? That's really a question. So McConkey's at Baltimore.
And the Niners have Green Bay.
Green Bay. So both teams. Oh, the Chargers are at home against Baltimore, and the Niners are on the road at Green Bay. I mean, how much do you play into that home game against Baltimore with kind of a porous secondary? How much does that play into Ladd for you?
It's certainly there.
Take my Georgia-ism out of this.
Right. It's certainly there, right? Like I do think that both Debo are both Jennings and Ladd McConkey are certainly startable over MHJ this week, right? Like at Seattle, that game will be an interesting one. Ladd McConkey's been really, really kind of good down the stretch here.
He's been a great number 2. Like he's just been super consistent.
Right. And I really wouldn't mind starting Ladd as a flex play any given week. Like that's where I would feel really confident about that one. But if I'm having to put it in as a wide receiver 2, I probably lean the Juwan Jennings side of that, just between that kind of grouping there.
Here we go. His next one's his wide receiver room, Derek, if you want to.
All right. So the wide receivers are Kupp, London, Marvin Harrison Jr., Debo, and DJ Moore. Okay. Cup is a for sure in. London's on bye. I'm not trusting the DJ Moore side of things at this point. I think I would go Juwan Jennings. I think it would start Cup and Jennings at that point.
I'd get behind that.
So yeah, that's kind of how I would look at that one. Any other thoughts on this one?
No, I'm just kind of poking around here, looking at what I feel like they're worth rest of season.
Right. I mean,
I'd say the worst one of that group is DJ Moore.
Right.
So yeah, drop DJ. Truth
Yeah,
be told, I'd drop Harrison Jr. and DJ to try and pick up Jennings and McConkey.
Fair enough.
Like, give me competent quarterback play. And not that Marvin Harrison Jr. doesn't have that, but I don't like the route tree that the Cardinals have been giving him.
Right. And at this point, like, it might be worth seeing if you can just shop Marvin Harrison Jr. as well, right? Like, if you're going to drop him anyway, it's potentially worth seeing if you can make a deal on those. It's typically what I like doing is a guy that I'm looking to drop that has some name power, just see what I can get for him out there. And if I can get anything, make a move. And if not, oh well. Jonathan, over on you. Any other thoughts on that one?
No, I'm just poking around with who I'd like to grab with those guys, right? So you got name power like a JSN or a DK Metcalf, potentially. Terry McLaurin's season's probably been a little bit too good for that, but
right.
If you're going for big ceiling play, you could look like a Zay Flowers,
T Higgins. A lot of whoever's
Higgins,
got
if you believe that he's going to stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, right? If I'm going to drop like a Marvin Harrison Jr. anyway, I might as well just poke around and kick the tires on that and see if they'll take that for T Higgins, right? Like, Mike Evans might be another guy that might be worth trying to make a move on. But I even wouldn't mind like a Cortland Sutton, Jamison Williams, Josh Downs, like, yeah, and potentially even maybe getting a piece back on something like that. But it could be some options there.
Yeah.
Shoot, you can even see if you could move it to the Debo or the CD manager and then try and flip CD off of name power there. Like, that's something you could try there too.
Maybe. I don't know if I want the headache.
You don't want to make a move
trade
to
deadlines,
then have to make another move.
The trade deadlines this week, that's all just too tight.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. But
2 weeks ago, right after the Dak news, maybe.
Right. Yeah. And at that point, that's where I've made some of those best deals kind of coming down the stretch in leagues before, is move a guy that I was looking to drop anyway that has some name value, name power out there for another guy that people are kind of down on and that has name power to then try and make a splashy move there. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it backfires, but if you're going to drop him anyway, it's worth kicking the tires on.
Yeah.
All right, Jonathan, what kind of player can I get if I trade both DK and James Cook together?
I mean,
probably looking mid RB1, mid wide receiver 1 type of range with something like that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think you're looking. Well, rest of season, DK and James Cook. I mean,
you're probably in the Joe Mixon, Kyron Williams, Kenneth Walker, Devon Achane type of range on the running back side of things there. I don't think you could get CMC, Henry, Bijan, or Saquon. Wide receivers, you're probably in the
Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua, maybe Nico.
Yep, maybe Drake London. Yeah. George Pickens. Pickens, though, the consistency kind of worries me going down the stretch.
Yeah, I wouldn't give up both those guys for Pickens personally. I would have some heartburn over doing that.
Yes. But yeah, that's kind of the range, Jonathan, that I think you could reasonably expect for something like that. It's kind of that mid wide receiver 1, mid wide receiver 2 type of range, and you're getting it's a 2-for-1. You're getting one player to give up 2 type of thing there. So
flip it out and do something kind of different, right? Like George Kittle, Trey McBride, Brock Bowers type, right? If you need help at tight end,
yeah,
like Travis Kelce, you don't want the headache, regardless of, the name, power, or whatever that's kind of going on with that. But I'd look at Bowers, Kittle, McBride, kind of see what that does if you're looking for help at tight end. And then you can look at like a Terry McLaurin.
right.
Or if you want a running back, I think then Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker and Brock Bowers for James Cook and DK Metcalf is, not terrible.
Right.
Just depends on if you're trying to get even value and just strengthen a different position, or if you're really trying to upgrade. If you're really trying to upgrade, shoot for the moon. See if that does it for Saquon. Screw it.
Yeah, fair
Saquon
enough.
owner says no, then you're looking at Bijan. If that doesn't work, move down the list to Achane or Jahmyr Gibbs. Like, screw it. If you're willing to give up both those, they got enough name power, shoot for the moon and see where you land.
Right. Alrighty. Brad over on YouTube. What's up, guy? Will you trade Cup for AJ Brown and Ladd? That would make my wide receivers Jamar, AJ, Ladd, Amari, Wandale, and Waddle. I would. Like, I really like the Cooper Cup side of things, but if I'm getting both AJ Brown and Ladd McConkey for a Cup, I'm gonna do that one. I'm gonna pull the trigger because I still get a wide receiver 1 and a guy that's playing wide receiver 2. I'd do that.
Really, and it gets you out of the Wandale, Robinson, Jalen Waddle market. You don't have to deal with it.
Right. Or is Amari going to play? Is he not going to play? What's this really going to look like thing? And
yeah, I like it. It gives you a much better flex option.
Yeah. I can't believe that you'd be able to give up Cup and get both Brown and Ladd, but I like it. Galactic over on YouTube, half point PPR. Who should they run in the flex, Swift or Debo? For me, it's Swift, and it's pretty easy Swift.
Yeah, with what the Bears did last week with the Packers, right? If we're seeing a change in the offensive philosophy with the new coordinator there in Chicago, Swift was able to get loose. I like that because the passing game's still not quite clicking. Debo's been so boomer bust. Like, he's just not seeing a consistent target share. And now that Christian McCaffrey's back, Debo is still more hit or miss. Juwan Jennings is kind of filling in that Brandon Ayuk role of consistency. So I'm leaning with Derek. I think I'd rather play Swift and go for the guaranteed points. Debo's probably your ceiling, though.
Yeah, fair enough.
Just for the simple fact you can go 3 catches for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Right. And on the flip side, he can just as easily go 4 receptions for 20 yards.
Yes.
So
fact.
Yeah, but there we go. All right, Mr. Wumbo. The only other QBs on waiver wire are Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, and at least 4 of those 5 I listed will put up more points than them.
Who's them? What are we talking about?
That was the Pooh QB room. Between Levis, Rush, DeVito, Minshew, or Bryce Young.
Oh yeah, Kirk's on bye.
Yep.
Jets are on a bye.
Mm-hmm.
New Orleans is
Saints
on a bye.
Yep. So
you got a bunch of bye week guys.
So unless you're right, there's a whole bunch of guys that'll put more points than them, unless one of those guys scores negative points at the position there, in which case the guy on bye would have scored more. So
don't put it past them. We've seen crazier things.
Right.
Aaron Rodgers snaps his other Achilles on the first play and throws a pick while he's at it. Oh, there's your negative 2 points.
Right. All righty. Quincy over on YouTube. Start the Broncos or the Texans?
Broncos.
I would agree. Chaiwan over on YouTube. Would you drop Benson or Chubb to get Roshan?
Benson, if you feel so inclined, but
yeah, I'm not dropping
I
Chubb.
Probably wouldn't. You're dropping Chubb?
I would not drop Chubb. No.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't either. Again, Roshan saw more work for sure. He saw season highs in snap usage, in was it in carries too? Like there's a couple different statistics that Roshan had season highs on, so I understand the allure to it. I'm not like there's still in the back of my mind this fear of James Conner getting hurt down the stretch. And if the Cardinals do fall out of playoff contention for whatever reason during the fantasy playoffs, you could see them switch over to Trey Benson to see what they have in the rookie, like to give him a full workload. So it's going to take a swift injury to do that in Chicago. Otherwise, you're just going to see another timeshare. So I don't think I would. I think the Benson upside's more than what you can get out of Roshan.
Right. I mean, and Roshan, right, with the more work and all that, still didn't even crack 50% on the snap share, right? He got up to 42% snap share, 10 carries, and 33 yards, right? Like the secret to Roshan is he has to get into the end zone for him to really have any fantasy relevance on this one. So, maybe he becomes the short yardage back there, but I don't know. I want to see it a little bit more before I start buying into that one. Mr. Wumbo, if you didn't watch the Chargers game, Herbert went to Ladd at the end of the game, what seemed like 5 times in a row when they needed to get down the field to win. Yeah, and that's
like that. The Chargers and the Raiders both, specific to Ladd and Brock Bowers, these two Georgia guys, have done a really good job using their strengths and highlighting them in their rookie seasons. They're both doing what they did in college extremely well, and it's at the moment showing successful.
Yeah,
so I would agree with that.
Jordan over on YouTube, Juwan Jennings or Tyrone Tracy at flex in standard scoring.
Standard scoring. Tyrone Tracy by a hair, but it would not surprise me if these guys were within a point of each other.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And when it comes to standard scoring, I'm going to take the running back over wide receivers 9 times out of 10, just from the volume tends to be there. Yeah, so I would lean on the Tyrone as well. Any other thoughts on this one?
Nope.
Where do you rank Taysom Hill amongst tight ends rest of the season? In full point PPR, is he top 5? Is he top 10?
Definitely top 10, and I don't know that I'd have a problem putting him top 5. All the different ways that the Saints use him, the fact that they don't have any other real pass catchers, it's him and Alvin Kamara or nothing for New Orleans right now. If they're going to let him throw, run, and catch all in the same game consistently, or at least in some facet of each, I mean, he has the highest usage out of any of the top 10 tight ends when it comes down to that. So I wouldn't have a problem putting him in the top 5. He'd be at the bottom end of the top 5, I think overall, but I'd definitely put him in the top 10.
Okay. Tell me when to stop, right? Where you got Taysom Hill rest of season, right? Okay. Compared to these guys. Brock Bowers, Travis Kelce, George Kittle, Trey McBride, Cade Otton.
Meh.
Okay, next would be like David.
This Mike Evans thing worries me, right? Like we've seen the best of Cade Otton. So now that Mike Evans is back, I think Otton might be listed a little too high. So go on. We'll see where we're thinking.
Njoku.
Again, like JMO's been using him, but he's also been highlighting all 3 of his receivers a hell of a lot more than we've seen in Cleveland before Deshaun Watson went out. So I think he's, again, right there.
Okay.
What else we got?
Mark Andrews.
Taysom Hill.
Okay. TJ Hawkinson.
Taysom Hill, again, by a hair. I'd have Hawkinson rated over Andrews too, though.
Okay. Evan Ingram.
Taysom.
Okay. So, I mean, kind of in that, right? Like that would slot him in that range of to ahead of guys. It would kind of slot him in there. Tight end 5 to 7 is kind of how that would be, which is kind of where I was thinking as well. kind of at the end of that range. So top 10, top 5 might be a bit of a stretch, but if they're going to utilize him like that, there's there's certainly a
Playing him
lot
for
of upside
upside, right?
Yeah.
You use Taysom if you're injured somewhere, you play Taysom to get into the playoffs and cover some injury concerns.
Right, exactly. All righty. And Mr. Wumbo, if you're doing well and are wanting to make trades, make sure up the team for playoffs to try and make sure to hit up the team trying to make the playoffs and get people who have week 14 buys, such as the Ravens, Commanders, Patriots, Texans, Colts, and Broncos. It's not a bad strategy, right? Like,
No, not at all. Right.
So.
Again, Nico owners, right? They've already missed 5 weeks of Nico. He's back one. He's down in week 14. Maybe they can't survive another week without him. Something like that.
Right.
Terry McLaurin is a possibility. Patriots, like kind of whatever. I kind of feel like the Colts or
Ramondre
whatever.
Stevenson would be the guy I'd target on the Patriots.
That's true. If you need some running back depth, number 2 back, that's true. You could look at Ramondre. Ravens, good luck getting Derrick Henry. Like outside of that, they're not trading Lamar Jackson. They'll eat a week 14. Even if their playoff hopes are on the line, I don't see someone willing to give up Lamar. So that one might be tough. But yeah, there's definitely guys to target on each of those teams. Cortland Sutton, kind of a nice flex play at wide receiver, or a third wide receiver if you're starting 3. I think with what him and Bo Nix have had going on here recently, I think that's an intriguing play also.
Right. I wouldn't mind the Bo Nix targeting that one either.
Mhm.
Josh Downs would probably be about the only guy in the Colts. Maybe Jonathan Taylor if you could really kind of swing that one, but I wouldn't be looking to overpay.
Taylor's been kind of bad.
Yeah, I would not be looking to overpay for sure.
Yeah, I've lost my interest in Jonathan Taylor this year. Between last year and this year, I'm out on him going forward.
Fair enough. Joe, over on YouTube, with Taysom on bye and Ferguson hurt, I put a waiver wire in for Disley. The Kyle Pitts manager is before me on the waiver wires.
Who else on the waiver wire?
Yeah, that's what it's gonna.
Like, have a backup ready.
Oh, there we go. He's got that and added to it. So he's saying that he's going to assume that he's going to get sniped on that. Better plan B for tight end this week. Would it be Likely or Noah Gray?
Isaiah Likely is going to have the upside, as sporadic as that's been.
Yeah.
But Noah Gray will probably get you more consistent points. So already having Taysom on a bye, I would go Gray, knowing this is a 1-week deal.
Yeah.
Now, if you have to have the win, right? If you're scratching for any way to win a game to get into the playoffs, it might be Likely. But I would definitely put in 2 waivers, right? Like you definitely want Disley to be your first priority, and then Noah Gray, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right, I like it. Mr. Wumbo, people might not be in a position where they can take a 0 from a good player on a bye week and have to trade them away at a loss for you and for them and a win for you. Yep, kind of going right back into that thought there.
Fact.
All righty. And then Jeremy over on YouTube, flex help needed, half-point PPR, starting AJ, DK, Kyron, CMC. They have Mike Evans, Tracy Dobbins on the bench. Who do you like for the flex?
Evans.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. Half-point PPR. I don't mind the Tracy side of it, but it does worry me with the new quarterback in there. Yeah, I think I'm going to lean if Evans is healthy and going, I'm going to go with the Mike Evans route as well. And Tracy would be kind of my option 2. JK would be option 3 at that point. So that's kind of how I'd roll that. Any other thoughts on that one?
No, I'm trying to. Did Evans practice today?
He was seen practicing yesterday, so I'm not
So
seeing
that's step one. If he hadn't,
I'm not seeing a practice report today, or at least not one that I can easily find. But I did see that it looks like he practiced yesterday.
that'll get you somewhere.
So, alrighty, and then it's like Galactic over on YouTube. Swift or Stevenson in the flex half point PPR. I'm going to take Ramadre with the matchup.
I'm leaning that way too against Miami. I think I'm leaning that way too.
So,
yeah, give me Ramondre by a hair, not a big margin, but by a hair.
Alrighty. Well, there we go. Alrighty. Well, guys, and I do think that that's going to take us to the end of the questions in the chat there. I think that's going to just about do it for us tonight. Any final thoughts out there for the viewers and listeners?
No, keep rolling, guys. We are very close, right? We are approaching trade deadlines, which means the end of the regular season. Get it in, Joe. Trade deadlines, the end of the season. So keep hammering away. Look at the waiver wire. Obviously, a lot of intriguing thoughts here for last minute trade opportunities. So we're here if you need us at Good Old Boys FF, wherever you guys consume your content. But be sure to head over to YouTube, hit like and subscribe, and we appreciate the participation and your support of our local independent podcast here.
There we go. Alrighty. All right, we got a couple more questions that popped in here. We're going to hit these ones up and we're going to fully call it a night here. Jeremy over on YouTube. Thanks, guys. Would it be crazy to play Tracy over Kyron due to the matchups? Kyron's been struggling lately. You're right. He has been struggling a little bit, but I'm still going to ride with Kyron Williams over Tyrone Tracy this week.
Facts.
All righty. And Mr. Wumbo saying that they've got Tillman and Njoku. Who would you start between them at flex? I had Tillman in, but it says that change with it being a short week.
I don't love either of them this matchup.
Right. Between the
I
two,
think
I
I'd rather
Tillman
has the ceiling for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So with if this is the same league, right, where you have your top three scorers down, you're playing Tillman in hopes he just gets deep and cuts loose for one.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Joe over on YouTube, the Panthers tight end, Jatavian, thoughts on him for 1 week. Alrighty, so
yeah, only because the Chiefs are bad against the tight end,
right? And it's Jatavian.
I don't think it's a bad. What's that?
It's Jatavian Sanders, not
yes, correct. So yeah, I don't hate it for 1 week against the Chiefs. Like it's about the best tight end matchup you could possibly get as far as what teams are giving up. So I don't mind it. Bryce Young's got to throw the ball to somebody. Like they're going to be trailing in the game. They got to try and stay in it. They can't just run it 40 times and expect things to magically happen against the Chiefs. So I don't mind Sanders for a 1 week start. I think you could do worse.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that. And Mr. Rumbo saying, yeah, right. Thank you. It's bye weeks when you don't even know the players' names that you're starting.
Yeah, there's definitely some weeks like that.
Yep, that's true. And then Eric over on YouTube, I'm knocking on the playoff door. Need wide receiver off the waiver wires from Thielen, Dobbs, Christian Watson, Elijah Moore, Slayton, among others.
Dobbs is one.
Yeah.
Christian Watson's another one. Either one. So if you're knocking on the playoff door, that means you have to have some big plays to get it done. Christian Watson's going to be the best big play guy of this list. Outside of this week, Elijah Moore's been seeing a lot of targets from Jameis. Again, I don't like him against the Steelers, and maybe I don't like him going all. The Browns got a tough matchup. They got Steelers, they got the Broncos still. They still have to play the Ravens again. No, the Ravens actually in a scary matchup this year. So Watson, right? You need ceiling. If you're knocking on the playoff door, you need some ceiling, some big plays. I'd go Christian Watson.
Yeah, I would agree with that one. Dobbs is going to be more of a floor potential, but I'd kind of agree with you on that assessment there. So, and then Jatavian Sanders will be his plan B. Thanks so much. All righty. Well, guys, that's going to do it for us tonight. Do appreciate everybody chiming in the chat and participation, all of that good stuff. Do very much appreciate that. We'll be back on Friday when we go through the fantasy football huddle underneath the fantasy football Friday night lights for the Bet Set Snap episode, 11 p.m. Eastern on Friday. Kevin, I'll be back to rock and roll that one for y'all. And do appreciate everybody tuning in. That's going to do it for us, though. He's Kevin. I'm Derek. Have a good one. Be safe. Toodaloo.